Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com, and at long last we're finally getting to some music content again. And this is going to be the first of a series of videos about the basics of rhythm with music. And you might recall from one of my earlier videos where I talk about the four elements of music: pitch, duration, intensity, and timbre. Well, rhythm is going to be dealing with the duration part of the four elements of music. But before I dive into it, I do want to cover a couple of business items with you. First of all, if you do enjoy this video and the content, make sure you click like and also subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you can be aware of when new content is made available. Also, feel free to share this video with anyone that would find the content useful or would want to learn a little bit about rhythm. And lastly, don't hesitate to leave comments and ask questions with the video. This video, like all of my others that are instructive in nature, either in music and IT, are designed for everyone to be able to learn from one another. So don't hesitate to leave some comments and questions as well. So this series is probably going to be about 4, maybe 5 videos. I don't think I can do it in 3 because the videos themselves will just be too long. But what I'll be going over in this series are primarily 3 things. One is understanding what rhythm actually is. And what I mean by that is having an understanding of rhythm that goes beyond just being able to mimic rhythms back or just be able to identify rhythms that you hear, but rather getting into some of the technical details of what is rhythm, how do you create rhythm, how can you tell if certain rhythms fit a piece of music and certain rhythms that don't fit a piece of music, why they do or don't fit. And working on that leads into the second point, and that is being able to hear rhythms and tempo and meter, and being able to kind of get that intrinsic feeling of this is what the beat is, this is what meter is, and such. Hearing is going to sound kind of obvious, but hearing is very important with this. Music is an oral art, and we have to have some strong ears, which that leads into the third goal. And these goals aren't going to be hit just one at a time. All 3 are going to be worked on almost simultaneously. And that third goal is being able to use our eyes as far as reading and notating rhythms using traditional Western music notation. What I want you to be able to do is have that well-trained ear to be able to identify and perform rhythms and such, as well as be able to notate it for others to be able to play and be able to read what others notate. In my opinion, my general philosophy of music education is you need to have good ears as well as good eyes. Now, if that means you have great ears but you struggle at reading, does that mean you're a bad musician? No. If you struggle to be able to identify some different rhythms and such, but you can read notation really well, does that make you a bad musician? No. But in my opinion, the goal is to try to be well rounded with that. So jumping right into it, some keys to being successful is, number 1, practice. What I mean by practicing with this is the concepts that I'm going to talk about in today's video, which primarily focus on the steady beat and what tempo is. See if you can apply that to your own musical experiences, such as you'll learn about what steady beat is. Go out and listen to things that you enjoy and see if you can identify that steady beat. See if you can tap, snap, or clap your hands along to it. That's how you will become skilled at working with rhythms and music, is by actually practicing the craft itself. So getting into it, rhythm is part of duration, which is one of those 4 basic elements of music: pitch, duration, intensity, and timbre. And the fundamental piece that you have to understand about rhythm is that it's a division of time. That's it. Division of time. That's all there is to it. Well, I'm being a bit facetious there, in the fact that it is true that all rhythm is just a division of time, but the question becomes, what are we using to represent time? how come I hear all sorts of different rhythms if they're all just the division of time? How can we have a lot of variety and such? And the answer to that is going to come through this video series. So getting to the very basics, all rhythms are going to come from the steady beat. Now let me pause there for a moment and mention that there will always be exceptions to the rule. You will find pieces of music that the steady beat might change throughout the piece of music. It might get faster, it might get slower. You might find pieces of music where it doesn't seem like there actually is a steady beat. So for beginnings of rhythms, we're working off of the fundamental truth, I guess I should put it that way, that rhythms are going to be coming from the steady beat. So the question becomes, what is the steady beat? I'm going to demonstrate a steady beat for you by snapping my fingers. Now, not all my snaps sounded the exact same, but the interval of time in which the snaps occurred was the same. That is a steady beat. It is simply a steady interval in time. Now, we have a really useful tool for helping us both measure steady beat as far as we want to hear exactly what a particular speed of a steady beat is. We'll use this tool to figure out how that sounds. We also use this tool as we are practicing rhythms, practicing performing them, either playing them on an instrument or singing them. We use this tool to help us maintain that steady beat. And this tool I'm talking about is called a metronome. Now, there are a variety of metronomes. You can get little handheld metronomes, and you can get like the great Dr. Beat metronomes that have all sorts of features and such with them. You can run metronome apps on your computer or smartphone or tablet. I'm actually going to be using my iPhone here for my metronome. The application I'm using is something called the Frozen Ape Tempo. I think its name now is just Tempo. Way back when it was called Frozen Ape. You can use whatever metronome application you want, but I'll be using the Frozen Ape. So I'm going to use this metronome, and I'm going to demonstrate steady tempo with it. So just like snapping my fingers, even though this speed was a little bit different, the interval, the speed at which the little clicks are happening was different. That is a steady beat. When you hear the phrase tempo, or the term tempo rather, tempo refers to the speed of this steady beat. And the unit of measurement that we use for the speed of the steady beat is something called beats per minute. You might have seen music that has 120 BPM on it, or it might have BPM equals a number, or it might have some type of rhythmic symbol equals a number. That number, more often than not, I'd say 99% of the time, is going to be beats per minute. So this metronome I have here, I have it set to 60. So if I were to turn on my metronome, and I start a stopwatch, and I'm letting the stopwatch go for a minute, and then at the end of that minute I total the number of beats that have clicked on the metronome, and if the metronome is set to 60, that number is going to be 60. So every minute there will be 60 clicks of the metronome, or 60 beats of the steady beat. And you do the math there, that would be 1 beat per second. Now I'm going to change the number on the metronome. I'm going to change it to 120. Come on. There we go. All right, so this is 120 beats per minute. And as you can hear, the frequency, not frequency as far as pitch, but frequency as far as how often you hear the clicks, the frequency is much faster. You're hearing more clicks in the same amount of time than you did at 60 beats per minute. And that makes sense because we're shoving 120 beats in per minute, or it'd be 2 beats per second. So building on what we have the steady beat, which I've snapped for you a few times, and I've played you a steady beat on the metronome, which is just the steady pulse that is often played in by an instrument within a piece of music, or lyrics might be, you might be singing the words at a steady pace, or, and this gets into the next thing, you might not explicitly hear steady beat, but you can visualize kind of mentally and feel where that steady beat would be. So this gets to the next point, and this gets into rhythm. Rhythms come from this steady beat. Remember, rhythms are just divisions of time. Well, the steady beat is steady time. It is a particular speed at which you're hearing this click. So where rhythms come in is you will have some rhythms that might match that steady beat. You will have some rhythms that might have a duration of multiple beats. You might have some rhythms that happen so quickly you might have 3 or 4 instances of a rhythm happen within one steady beat. So within 2 clicks of that metronome, you might hear multiple rhythms. So the thing to understand is that the steady beat itself is a rhythm, but not all rhythms are the steady beat. And let me show you an example of that. I'm going to click the metronome here. Oh, I'm going to slow it back down to put it on 80. It's going crazy. When it gets to 80, then jump to, not this critique of Frozen Ape tempo. Frozen Ape usually does a good job with this. All right, so there we are. Almost. There it is. So here's 80. That's my steady beat. Now I'm going to clap a rhythm, and the rhythm I'm going to clap is equal to this steady beat. So that's an example of a rhythm equaling the steady beat. Now, I'm going to sing a rhythm just on the syllable ta, and I'm going to match the steady beat. So here's my steady beat. I'm going to sing a rhythm on ta. Ta, 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 ta. And if you notice, the duration of the, because the clap is like instantly gone, but me singing ta, that duration of the sound was each ta I gave had the exact same duration, and that matched the steady beat. That's an example of performing rhythm and the rhythm being the steady beat. Not all rhythm will equal the steady beat. For example, let me start the steady beat again, and I'm going to clap a variety of rhythms. Now, you heard far more claps than you heard steady beats. So what that's telling us is while steady beat is still there, the rhythms that I'm clapping are different. So beat, steady beat is a rhythm. It's a rhythm that's worth one beat or one click of tempo, but not all rhythms are equal to the steady beat. And if I give that example using ta, ta 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 ta. Again, you heard the ta sounds far more often than you heard the steady beat. So therefore, I'm doing rhythms, but it's not the same as the steady beat. The thing that you probably noticed was that some rhythms lined up with that steady beat. Sometimes the beginning of the ta sound matched where the click was, or when I was clapping rhythms, the rhythms that I clapped, the clap occurred at the same time as the steady beat click, and that's perfectly acceptable, and it's often going to occur. As if you were to take those examples and really listen, you'll notice that some of my tas could be described as lasting for more than one steady beat. You could also probably describe that I did a couple of tas and I had 2 equal duration tas within a steady beat. So within 2 clicks of that metronome, I had two tas that were of equal duration of time. That is where rhythm comes in with this. And in our next video, we're going to start learning the associations of steady beat and rhythm as far as values of rhythm. But for this, I just want to give you the demonstration of how the steady beat itself is a rhythm, but not all rhythms equal the steady beat. Now, practical application of this, because I try to make things to where it's not just this abstract thing. Here's how it works in the real world. There will be some pieces of music that you'll listen to where there will be an instrument that's just straight up playing the steady beat. There's all sorts of other rhythms going on, but there's some instrument that is giving you that steady beat. Pretty easy to identify it in those pieces of music. There's some pieces of music where there is no one instrument always playing the steady beat, but listening to the other rhythms, you can hear what the underlying pulse is under which all of those rhythms are based. And I'm going to play you two excerpts from a quartet that I wrote when I was in undergrad. And actually I have my little headphones here to where I'll be able to hear that playback. So when I'm giving you the steady beat examples, I hopefully will not make mistakes for you. So this first example I'm going to play is of a slower tempo. And what I'm going to do is let it play for a few seconds and then start snapping the steady beat. And the question becomes, can you figure out what that steady beat is before I start snapping it? And if so, when I start snapping the steady beat, does it match what you think you heard? So let's try it. Headphones here. And this is the first example. I'm going to start snapping the steady beat. I'm going to stop the steady beat. So in that example, ask yourself if you were able to identify that steady beat before I snapped it, and if you did what you think you heard as the steady beat match what I snapped? And then ask yourself, once I stopped snapping the steady beat, could you still hear it, either explicitly through the rhythms that are being played? Because in that example, there were a lot of rhythms that did match the steady beat, or could you hear kind of the silent pulse under which all of the rhythms were based? So I'm going to play you another example, and this is going to be a faster tempo. Here's a steady beat. I'm going to stop the steady beat. I'll give you the beat again. All right, so for that example, the question becomes, could you clearly the rhythms that were happening there were much faster than what the steady beat is, but can you hear how that steady beat lined up with those rhythms? And if you didn't catch this, I'm going to take my headphones off so I can hear a little bit better. If you didn't catch that immediately, don't fret about it. It takes time to learn how to hear it. But this is an example, like I said, this, like any other skill, you're going to have to practice it. This is how you would practice it. You would listen, you would click a steady beat, and then ask yourself, does it match? First of all, is it actually steady? And then secondly, does it sound like some of the rhythms are lining up with it? And if so, then you have probably found the steady beat. So that brings us to a conclusion for the first video. Just a quick recap. All rhythm is just divisions of time. We represent the time through steady beat. We describe the speed of this steady beat using beats per minute, and we refer to this speed as tempo. So a fast tempo would be many beats per minute. A slow tempo would be few beats per minute. And then we learned that rhythm itself, or rather the steady beat itself, is a rhythm, but not all rhythms are the steady beat. Rather, they can occur at different times with the steady beat. So I hope you found the video useful. If you did, make sure that you click like and also subscribe to the channel so you can be aware of when new content comes available. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.